Yeah, so I got to cut off there. Important statement. Whether we can just run ammonia through peat, whether you're going to leave the ammonia in the peat, whether you're going to dry it out. See, that's another thing. Do you dry it out? Is it a bit like, would it be a bit like with your cuprous ammonium copper sulfate sort of thing? You know, it's all tickety-boo for years and years and years. You can have it for 20 years, you know, in a container. As long as it's sealed, it stays as that. As soon as you let it with the atmosphere sort of thing, and the ammonia can actually degrade over time, it goes back to being, copper sulfate again. So do you need to keep your peat damp? What was I thinking again? Yeah, is that what the idea with the peat is? It just, if you once we work it out, do we go back to using newspaper cellulose because it keeps the soil mixture or medium continually damp, so that the polystyrene can continually, or whatever the equivalent to polystyrene in the natural world, it can continually give off the reductive flammable gas. And what is the thing out in the real world that's the thing that gives off? Is it just charcoal? And we're going to have to test that. So we just have charcoal in a container, and you add your meat to it, whatever, and will the organism just grow? I think we've already sort of shown that to be so in the past. The other question is, what's going on with the zinc oxide in particular? Is it just slowing things down so that the attack or the of the actual egg is slowed down or prevented from breaking down, so you don't get the greying and like that sort of thing? So it changes the pathway to some degree, sort of thing. Is that what we want? I don't know. Is that where we're heading? We're going to end up by, putting all this stuff into an egg and ammoniating the whole lot. So we end up with manganese, iron, copper, and zinc all in the egg, and then we ammoniate the whole thing, and we make up and of course we add the chalk, because the chalk seems to be a positive for the manganese anyway. So if we break this with the iron, we're probably going to have to do an iron chalk, ammoniate an iron chalk one as well. So we're going to do both. We're going to do an iron egg and ammoniate it, and we're going to do an iron chalk egg and ammoniate it, and find out if the iron chalk egg is even better. I mean, we haven't even done that one yet, of taking the manganese chalk and ammoniating that. I mean that's probably the next logical step, is to take a manganese egg and ammoniate it, and if it goes even better than that, well, then it gives us credence to actually go and try the iron egg ammoniation. But then of course we're getting back data from this one, from the other side. So eventually we'll work it all out, and we're going to end up with a soil that we know, or at least we're going to be able to grow the organism really well and really quickly, and maybe a sustained growth as well, which is what we want. And eventually over time I think we're going to figure it all out. So what is the connection with the perlite? Is it that the obsidian does actually have a lot of manganese in it, or is it the obsidian has a lot of iron in it? We think it's manganese. Is it black manganese dioxide, or is it black iron sulfide, or something like that? So I'm going to have to do some more research online to find out which one it is. It could be this one. We could find out that the obsidian also has calcium in it, so it's a bit like this, I suppose one question we got to ask is, what happens if we just ammoniate the perlite? Egg. Yes. Remember this one I said I actually got egg into the actual perlite, and it had trouble. And yeah, let's go to spot culling. Yeah, well, I'm on spot culling. Sorry about that for being on spot culling when I shouldn't be on spot culling. But yeah, down here, you notice that all the bits of perlite that are in the water there, they've all got the organism growing in it. They're all pinked because they've got egg in the perlite, I would say. So, question is, if we egg some perlite and we also ammoniate it, do we get even better response? And do we go from a red to like a purple or something like that? It just goes crazy. I think that's where all the revolution is going to come, fellas. In all these avenues, we're going to tweak everything. Eventually, find out what's going on, and then we're just going to tweak everything, and that's where you're going to get your 4-inch fly traps from your 6-inch cephalotus and your 127 flyovers, and bloody what's his name over in England's going to have to raise the roof of these bloody greenhouses. I can tell you that. Yeah, motorcycle bloke. What's his name? Mike something or other. I can't even think of his name now. Yeah, it was a joke about 5 years ago, but it might come to fruition. He may have end up having to raise his wife. What's going on there? The news from down under is not good. I'm going to have to raise. Well, it probably is good for the rest of the world, but I'm going to have to raise the roof of my greenhouse by at least double. I don't know. Mike King, that's his name. Yeah, Mike King. Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, we'll see how we go. But we'll go through all the possibilities, and we might discover something else along the way. But so far, this idea that they should be iron deficient, I don't know. You just like iron sufficient rather than deficient. I don't know. It certainly is a delayed response. But is it manganese or is it iron? Or is it just they don't care? It just has to be some sort of cetaphil, and you've got to overcome that, whatever this one does to the... whatever it does to make a soil bake, and you've got to somehow unlock that, or partially unlock that, to release the nitrogen. Out in the real world with the peat bogs, of course, they just said they had chalk and stuff, limestone and stuff to these things, and release it that way. I think that's the wrong way. We want to do it in a nice, gentle way, and a steady, gradual, long-term way, so you get a nice, sustained, steady release, and that's how you're going to get your big plants, I reckon. It's going to be a nice, steady... what do they say? You could actually go to the moon and other places and to other stars if you had a sustained acceleration. So instead of having a big thrust, you just had a very slow acceleration, but you sustained it over a long period of time. You could actually go to Alpha Centauri and things like that very quickly, because slowly, you might spend a week getting to the moon, but once you've gone beyond that, you just get faster and faster and faster until you get to sub-light speed sort of thing. But in order to get that gradual acceleration, you've got to put so much energy into it over the initial launch sort of thing. There was some sort of film or something about it around about the late 70s, early 80s. I watched as either a late kid, early teenager or something, and it sort of, the idea sort of got to me, that sometimes the very slow, long... basically, it's the tortoise and the hare story, isn't it? Slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady can get you to Alpha Centauri, whereas, one big fat, nuclear explosion isn't going to do it. No matter how big your nuclear explosion is, it's only going to last for, fractions of a second initially, the actual converting mass into energy. But it's that sustained acceleration that you want. Even though it's a small acceleration, as long as you sustain it over a long period of time, you outdo whatever you can do, with the biggest load of dynamite you can grab your hands onto. Anyway, it's a bit of a, what do they say? Never fart on your first date. It won't grow any faster. There you go, Mark King, a joke for you. Never fart on your first date. You won't make it grow any faster. Okay, over and out, I think. But, I don't know. Are we still on spot, Cullen? Yeah. Let's go down for this one here. Whoa. Okay. This one down here. Okay. Okay. Over.